Guys, and welcome back to the podcast.
We are the Carwells.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Sarah, and we are, as you know, Airbnb interior designers and investors. All right. Well, everybody, welcome back, and thanks for joining. Today we have Matt from a real estate company out of Round Rock, Texas, correct?
Correct.
Which is near Austin, and we have been following their journey for almost 3 years now. So we're super excited to have him on the show, kind of pick his brain. We always love people who are kind of from an area that we're familiar with and really have watched them grow. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. Good morning. Feel motivated. Yeah, I'm honored to be here. So I appreciate that.
Well, wonderful. Well, as you know, we start each episode with a real estate or Airbnb horror story. So to kind of break the ice this morning, do you have one you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I'll probably give a story and also kind of a concept, if that's okay. What the concept is, we push real estate to the penny as far as when we're investing. And we always have multiple deals in the works, but we're not closing for 30, 60, 90 days. And it's a grind to figure out how are we going to get this deal done and put this capital together. So we live in this, interesting world where we put our backs against the wall and just 24/7, how do we get this done? We have a deal right now. It's an assisted living, $380,000 down payment, and we're going to buy half of it. And we had multiple deals that didn't close, a couple of refis that got extended. And so closing date's actually tomorrow. And we had to call the owner, and luckily they're going to owner finance us half of the down payment. So for 6% interest, 6-month balloon. So we kind of, in a sense, pushed that problem down the line 6 months. But it's just constantly getting out there and getting uncomfortable. And I think that that's a really good learning point for some people because, you might look at us and think that like, oh, we're doing all this stuff, we're doing so well. And, we're grinding and we're working hard. But it's just constant challenges. Like there's no secret to it. We take the risk. And, if you have the right people and the right partners, like it's amazing what you can do. And, somebody figures the solution out. So that's kind of the concept is like the challenge that we constantly live with. As far as like specific challenge, the biggest one that I would say is I had a pretty bad partnership. I had a good sized property management company. We owned 30% of that company. My wife worked there full time. I was not necessarily an employee there, but I was helping grow it. And long story short, difference in opinions and goals, and the other partners wanted us to get out of the business. And it was right in the middle of COVID, and that was the company that we spent a lot of time building. It was consistent, it was steady income, and out of nowhere, the partners were like, "Hey, my wife was having a baby," and they said, "Hey, if you're not going to be, working there full time, then we don't want you to be a partner." So, they have their side, we have ours, but that was a tough process, and the big learning point for me was to really take it slow on partnerships and clearly line out what people's goals are and long-term ambitions. And, you're basically marrying someone and you want to know that these are people that you want to have in your foxhole when you're at war. And we just weren't the same. And so huge learning point. It was very challenging for me because it was all the steady income that we had right in the middle of COVID. It was a good business. It was what we built. We basically merged these companies and we brought over 3 employees that were people that grew up with us that we knew, and then they had 3, so it was like half the team was really ours, but we owned 30%, and so it was a challenge. But the learning point was like really make sure you're aligned with the people that you're going to get into business with, and not just how can we go make some easy, quick money.
Yeah. I have so much to say about all of that.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say that's a really good point because people ask us about partnerships all the time, obviously, because Sarah and I are in a partnership, and ours is really unique, right? Like we've known each other since 3rd grade. We know all the ins and outs of each other's personality. So we like just fall into these roles really naturally with each other because I know what she likes to do. She knows what I like to do. And so it just works. And not that there's not challenges, but people ask us about partnerships all the time because you do see a lot of partnerships fall apart because people can't come to agreements. And it can be really difficult to get out of a partnership, but it's also really scary getting into a new one again as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, one, that entire little speech you gave there was like a sermon I needed to hear. That not, everybody kind of goes through those seasons, because I think for Emily and I especially, I mean, we've explored several partnerships in different areas as we've kind of grown over the last 3 years. And some of them have been incredible, like just have launched us into something new. And then others have been like easily the most traumatic things that we've gone through. And so it's like, but in business, you have to, right? Like you can't do everything yourself. You have to develop relationships, and you are getting into a marriage. And so I think that like for us, it's always the biggest fall when a partnership doesn't work out, because you get so invested in that relationship, and then when things don't align, it's just like it literally is like heartbreaking. Like I mourn those days that those partnerships don't work out. So, yeah, I think that resonated a lot, where it's like, looking at you guys from afar, it's like, holy cow, you guys are just exploding. Like it's so rainbows and butterflies from our side. But then on your side, you're really, in the trenches, and you're like, holy cow, this, this is such a punch to the gut.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in my opinion, this business is a lot of setbacks and negativity, and that's really what you have to overcome is people not showing up, investors backing out, deals blowing up, people getting mad. So, there's no just this is so easy and rainbows and everything like that. Like it's hardcore. I mean, we run into issues all the time, and the thing that I think sets people that apart in this business is just to keep pushing forward and just to roll with the punches. Because I really think that like probably 70-80% of what we deal with, closings, agents, investing, all that is 70% is just negative stuff. Like especially if you're making a lot of offers or taking a lot of shots. So it's just knowing that that's the game, and just to keep pushing, because we're trying to grow, right? We're not sitting on $100 million and we just go and analyze what's the best return, and then we invest in that, and then we just make all this cash flow. Like we're constantly taking a lot of risks.
Yeah, 100%. So for our listeners, why don't you kind of give them your backstory, what you do, how you've grown, like a synopsis of where you got to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. Quick story. My mom was a single mom, and she was buying properties, and really got me fascinated by what was possible and what it meant to own real estate. She did really well on just saving every penny, and over 10, 15 years, she had like 15 or so rental properties. And so we grew up around that. Didn't mean that, she was making $5,000 a month on everything. It was just like, wow, she built this to 20, 30 years from now. She's going to have a really good nest egg or retirement in a sense. So I was fascinated by that. I worked all different jobs growing up, and just realized how much I hated looking at a clock. And it was like a fear for me. I felt like, in a sense, I was like in a prison. And so I just knew that I didn't want to do that, and it wouldn't make me happy. And so I got my license in Corpus Christi, where I went to school. And my whole goal was I want to learn as much about real estate as I possibly can. And then I want to figure out how to buy it and own it myself. So I was all in. I mean, first one in, last one out of the office. I was wearing a suit and tie, going to class, couldn't care less about class, and back to the office. And did that for 2.5 years. Then I graduated. I came back home. I worked for a commercial broker for 6 months. And then I went to Texas A&M. They have a master's program for real estate. And I worked at an apartment doing leasing. I got my appraiser's license. And when I graduated, I took over the properties that my mom had bought, and my wife started managing those. And then I went to work for a commercial brokerage called Edge. And I did that for 3 years. Was very interesting, very corporate, commercial brokerage for the most part. You dress a certain way. It's 9 to 5. It's no weekends. But we had really great clients. I worked for Gold's Gym, Big Sporting Goods, Advanced Auto. We would wine and dine clients. We'd go to Vegas, Dallas, Houston for these big conferences every year. And it was a different world for me. I didn't necessarily, I knew that it wasn't going to be what I wanted to do long term, but I was really embracing being around it and what I was seeing and how I was seeing how people operated. So long story short, all these different brokerages, these different experiences, it was me trying to be entrepreneurial and kind of running my head against the wall, looking at what other people were doing. And while I was at these brokerages, and the broker saying, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do this. We specifically do retail. We do traditional, whatever it may be. and came up with this vision over time of let's build the entrepreneurial brokerage. And we're all in on that. Like, we want to be the most entrepreneurial brokerage in the world, where you come and you get more out of real estate for you and you grow with other people. And so we say, come here, build your own brand, build your team, have an in-house partner. We buy real estate with our agents. We sign on loans. We give them our financial statements. We teach them how to wholesale. Like, we go all in. 90, 10, 15K cap, 175 a month. Not a lot that we ask for. And so it's created this entrepreneurial spirit, and people are loving it and they're thriving, and they're getting other people to come join. And it's a really good energy. We plant a lot of seeds. We lead with value, and got about 165 real estate agents currently. And people are on fire, and they come here and they say, I never experienced this from another brokerage. They wouldn't let me think outside the box. If you have another business here, like if you selling candles, like we support that and we encourage that. And we really try hard to look at this as let's get more out of life together. Brokerage and real estate is one aspect, but let's try to push the limits. Let's not worry about what anybody else is saying or what they think. And a lot of brokerages out there, they judge us and they want us to fail, and I mean, we can talk about that as much as you want. I mean, literally, like, they're coming at us. And it's just all in on let's be the place where you come to grow, and let's grow together.
That's incredible. Super incredible. I mean, especially from an Airbnb investor's perspective, it's like you hear that conversation all the time about how, like, typically real estate agents never invest. And it's because their brokerage has them so focused on selling the real estate that they never, you know, help them curate a mindset that allows them to understand that they could be investing in real estate themselves and kind of hit it from two angles. And so to hear that there's, a brokerage available for people to kind of bridge that gap and figure out how selling real estate fits into their life on a macro level instead of just like how many houses can you sell, sounds super magical.
Yeah, the cool thing about it is it's just a niche of people that it's what I wanted, and I never saw or knew where to go get it. And so for me, it's really not even like, let me like do a sales pitch to get you to join. We just have to lay it out, and the right people, they just get it. And then honestly, there is nowhere else that's doing it the way we are. They might say that they're entrepreneurial or talk about that, but if they're not buying real estate with you and showing you how to buy real estate and all this other stuff, then they really aren't. And it blows my mind. You look at these, I mean, we study brokerages, right? And if there's something that they have, we try to implement. But you can go to some of these websites of these big companies, and it's like 7 ways to generate wealth in real estate. And literally nothing talks about owning. And so I think that brokerages have gotten lazy, or just maybe they just have a different opinion on things, but they don't understand how to make money with agents outside of you go call your sphere, you go make more commissions. We literally never have gone to somebody and said, get your commissions up. We just don't care. We want to go around the room to 200 people, 1,000 people, however many, and just be like, hey, Emily, are you getting what you need? Are you on fire? You feel good? Yes. Sarah, yes. And they could be completely different things. And people get into real estate because they don't want a job and they want the freedom. So we're not trying to do anything other than, at the end of the day, it's as you guys know, it's all of our own small businesses. Like, welcome to small business ownership when you get your license, right? Nobody's going to do anything for you. You have to go out and figure out how to be different and unique and creative. But the value that we bring is we just bring a massive support to that person, and we pour fuel on what they're trying to do. For a 15K cap, I mean, people pay coaches 50K, 100K a year for what we do essentially for free is how I view it. And I'll give you a quick example. We had a real estate agent that she's buying her own house, and it was listed at 400. She's like, I'm thinking about listing it for 370 or offering 370. And it was literally like 2 weeks ago. I was like, hold on, let me call them, and you can just listen to me talk about this. And I offered him 330 after 15 minutes of talking, and he said, hey, write it up. So saved her 40K plus on a phone call. And for a 15K cap to be around other entrepreneurs and investors, if you plug in, the people that really plug in and all we ask is come here and treat people right and try to treat other agents the way that we try to treat you, which is like give you everything. I mean, new agent walks in, I'm like, here, go take my phone and go call, you type in the word investor, there's like 300 contacts. I'm like, go call them and introduce yourself. Like all in on supporting. And it's really built a very special culture where other people are doing that. And we're having a lot of fun doing it.
That's incredible. I'm here for it.
That is awesome. It sounds like you created the thing that's bringing so much value to other people that you couldn't find anywhere else. So that's just a really cool thing to build.
Yeah. So where does Alex fit into all this? Because obviously, I mean, we've watched you on social media, so we've seen the two of you this entire time. How does he fit into this entire picture?
Alex is the key.
I like the answer.
Well, I mean, really. So I'm a crazy wild card entrepreneur. If Alex wasn't around, I would be doing what I'm doing now, but it would most likely be me. I mean, maybe I'd have something, a little bit bigger than that if I found another partner. But I'm kind of the guy. I go plant the seeds and support and build and have the ideas and a vision in the sense. And Alex is really the guy who makes it all work. And so he's the operations guy. He gets everybody paid on time. He oversees all the departments. We've got, marketing department, agent success. We've got an in-house call center right now where we've got 4 people that are just calling all day, every day. He oversees the wholesaling company. So he really is all in. He's 27 years old. Age 20, he was full-blown heroin addict and in jail. And I'm just so proud of him. And we grew up together. We've known each other since we were little kids. And it's been a massive blessing. But he basically keeps it all, make sure that we're profitable, oversees the accounting. Like I'm just out here just growing it. And we make a really good team in that sense.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. That's another, I've thought about this a lot. This is a concept that we have that we're working on. It's like, nobody should just be one person in this business. Like maybe that model is just not the way to do it as a realtor, right? Because you do so many things and there's no way that you're great at all of it. So it's almost like
Right.
Everybody should have 2 people.
100%. Yeah. I mean, Emily and I talk about this constantly. It's like, I mean, we've worked in team situations since we were in 3rd grade, right? We played sports together. We lived together in college. Like we've had this like duo mindset, moved across the country together for
We've
forever.
had jobs together throughout the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Worked at grocery stores together. But I mean, really, it's like I kind of play your role in our friendship where I'm like definitely the grower and like maybe the one who's like pushing us into something new. But if I didn't have Emily, literally everything that I would push us into would flop because I'm not paying attention to whether it's profitable or not. I'm just like moving forward.
Yeah, and it's a blessing to be able to be in that zone where you don't have to, because I'm sure, Sarah, you could figure it out, but it's better for you to just do what you're great at and then not get slowed down at all.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people get that, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Could not move things forward without Emily. Or if I was making it move forward, I would hate it.
Yeah.
Well, we love that. Good for Alex. It's good. I mean, his story is so inspirational all the way around. So we've enjoyed watching you guys grow together so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and speaking from the Alex perspective as well, not like I don't think people like us who are keeping things going behind the scenes would ever be able to grow a business without like people like you. So that just speaks to the partnership as well. Like I could try to do something, but I'm not getting out there. I'm not shaking hands. I'm not meeting people. So, because that's just not me. That's not who I am as a person. And so I wouldn't be able to grow a business to the level that me and Sarah can do as like a partnership. But I'm sure Alex feels the same way.
Totally. There's a book that I like. It's called Hunting in a Farmer's World. And it's not that one's better than the other, but I almost believe this, that there is basically 2 different types of people. There's hunters and there's farmers. And so once you realize like which one you are, it's, at least for me, it was kind of liberating of, I'm a hunter and I shouldn't be farming because I'm just not going to be great at it. And, it seems like I don't know, alpha or something like, oh, I'm the hunter, but the farming is just as important, right? Like nothing happens without the farming. So there's two different types of people, and embracing which one you are, and then finding someone who's opposite. To me, seems like the way to go about really building something.
100%. I wouldn't enjoy working with someone who is spot on just like me. That sounds explosive.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll let Emily kick off the questions here. We went down quite a tangent there, which we love. But Emily, go ahead and ask our next question.
Yeah, so you guys are building a lot right now. Like you're growing on social media, you're building your brokerage, you're growing your own portfolios. Do you have like a North Star, the thing that you're trying to like put all of your focus into, or do they all kind of blend together as far as your growth and what you put your priorities into, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the number one goal, the vision is, be the entrepreneurial brokerage where this is where you come if you want to get more out of real estate for yourself and to utilize your license as a tool and not be a traditional agent and not think inside any type of box and build your own net worth and generational wealth. That's as simple as it is. It's like, what brokerage do you think of when you think of, I want to be an entrepreneur, where do I go? TRE, that's the goal. We want people to think of TRE for that brokerage. The size doesn't necessarily matter, but can we be an outlet for those people, for who I was, or for who you guys seem, to really resonate with as well? Is like, can we be that place? And can we constantly get better and have more things in place, more opportunities, more ways to make money on site in real estate? And it's a big task, it's a big challenge, and I personally don't think anybody's thinking of it the way we are or really going all in on it. And so it's just head down, focused on that, plant a lot of seeds, build people up. I'll sit down and meet with agents for 2 hours and like try to get them lined out on a really good goal plan and meet them again in another month. And so we just want to be that place that I don't think anybody in the brokerage industry really even cares that much about.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's two things that's really interesting about this to me is one, I mean, when you look at real estate as a whole, everybody develops a different strategy, right, on how they're going to grow within the real estate umbrella. And for you to be so focused on the brokerage, I mean, it really speaks to how you want to help people specifically, right? It's like for Emily and I, we've, talked ourselves in circles about how we want to grow. What does that look like? What does that look like for our own personal lives? How does it impact others? And, a brokerage or anything where you're managing people is so intimidating because that's a lot of work, right? I mean, you're dealing with people's livelihoods. So kudos to you for being so passionate about that front in particular, because it really is a selfless game that is like, seems so rewarding, right? And the market definitely needs it. And then my second thought towards that is, the way that you guys are so focused on social media, I think that that's brilliant on your growth strategy. Because, I mean, for us, when it comes to social media, we started it as like something we just enjoyed, right? It was just like we liked creating content. We liked creating content together. We didn't really understand what it was going to bring. But in turn, it's like, especially for a brokerage, when people are, online, it's allowing people to see you and really see your personality, and they get to know you ahead of time. And so I'm sure when people are joining your brokerage, it's like a very small bridge to gap, because all of a sudden it's like, okay, you may not know this person at all, but they have a huge relationship with you that's already pre-existing because they've been following you forever. I mean, they've got a really good idea and grasp on what you guys are offering ahead of time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you nailed it. And excuse me, it's a big investment. Like, we have a lot of people that, I mean, we have a whole small little office back here dedicated to this. We've got multiple full-time employees. And that's another thing that, we're constantly figuring out, how do we differentiate ourselves? We don't have the biggest following. We don't necessarily go for like, let's get as many subscribers as possible, but I do think that we have this unique engine and machine that, we can crank out content quickly, and we're not going to stop. And I don't see anybody focusing or putting the importance on it that we are as brokerages go. And in a sense, it's a gamble, but we don't feel that way. Like, we do love it as well, and we get the message out, but it's hard to measure the value. I mean, we're not getting paid from YouTube. We're not getting paid from Instagram. We just had an agent come in from San Antonio yesterday that said she's been following us for years, and she's probably going to join. And it's all because she knew who we were from social media for years. So we get these little nuggets over time that it's like, oh yeah, it obviously is making us money. But more importantly, we believe in getting that message out of like, hey, real estate is for anybody. Like, we believe that's one of our core values as a company. There's opportunities for everybody, no matter your race, your gender, income levels, whatever. We've seen it all. We've got 160 people here that come from all different backgrounds, and everybody's doing it in a different way. And so let's just share that. And there's just so many misconceptions about, oh man, just all kinds of stuff, right? Like thinking you need all the cash to buy the house, or not knowing what kind of loans are available. And it really holds people back because, as simple as I like to put it, you're either paying your own mortgage or you're paying somebody else's. And you take your pick. But if you want to get more, like, let's talk, and we'd love to help you get there.
Yeah. Also, I think this morning on my TikTok that you guys hit 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is huge. You need to turn, if you're not getting paid from YouTube, you need to turn on that YouTube paid button, because you definitely should be making a few $100 at least from YouTube.
We're so close. You have to have, I think, 4,000 watch hours, and we're at like 3,700.
Yeah, it's 1,000 subscribers and then 4,000 watch hours within like 12 months or something like that. But speaking to what you said about like you're not worried about having the biggest following or something like that, I think that's a really smart way and a good way to think about social media, because like if you have tons and tons of followers but nobody actually cares or resonates or like they're not actually like getting something out of your content because they're not like, they just followed you to follow you and they're not actually interested in real estate, it just doesn't feel like that's like the community that you want to build on social media. Totally. Anyways. So you don't need the biggest following if the following that you have are the people that like your content, need your content, and are getting a lot out of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know what works on social media, right? Like driving nice cars and showing money and all that stuff, and that's just not who we are. And so it doesn't.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't blow it up. But like you said, I think it resonates with the right people. But we just gotta get more people to know about it. Is our challenge.
Yeah, 100%. And it continues cultivating the relationship with your existing people within your brokerage too. It just, I that resonates as well when you're like, it's hard to put a value on social media, and we have fought that battle over and over again in our own lives. And so, yeah, but there is huge value. Like I'm a full believer in that attention is going to pay off down the road. And once you have it, you get to kind of drive that car. So good luck to you guys on growing that social media front, but we have enjoyed the hell out of watching you guys grow. So
thank you so much.
Yeah. So Austin is your home base currently, or Round Rock, correct?
Correct.
I think I've seen that you guys have expanded your brokerage to other areas in Texas, correct?
Yeah, we have Houston, Corpus, San Antonio, Dallas. Not a huge presence.
Yes.
Not a huge presence.
Yeah. So do you plan on scaling that? Like when you talk about being the biggest entrepreneurial brokerage that there is, what does that look like for you guys? Does it look like taking it outside of Texas and expanding it all over the U.S.?
Yeah, it means that when Elon gets to Mars, we'll be in Mars. That's what that's what Alex always jokes about. But we're dead serious about it, and whether we accomplish what we're trying to or not, the one thing that I will be able to say and be proud about is that we will have tried everything possible, because we live it. We're all in. There's no jokes about it. We're very, very driven. I've worked about as hard as you could possibly imagine at this since I was 17. And we want to be in every country, but we aren't trying to go plant a flag and then just say, hey, we're here. We're looking for the right people. So we really want, Matt and Alex in Arizona, in California, in New York, or, girl versions, whatever, right? So like, I prefer to be actually, but like we need partners. And so we want to team up. It's kind of a Trammell Crow. He's a developer model, or even McDonald's. Fascinated by the history of McDonald's. I could go for hours about it. But we want to find entrepreneurial type partners to help build with us.
That's amazing that you bring up McDonald's, because we use the analogy all the time of McDonald's. Like, I think, in previous partnerships, a big misalignment was, and we use this analogy openly with that partnership, where that partnership, they wanted to be the Burger King, where you've got McDonald's and Burger King just puts it on the opposite corner. But McDonald's does all this research ahead of time and they get that prime corner first, and that's why McDonald's is so much more profitable than Burger King. And so they had this Burger King mentality about it because it's a safer route to go. And I think Emily and I, especially with us being so bullish on investing in short-term rentals in Michigan, it's us showing that we want to be the McDonald's of it, because nobody's doing what we're doing in Michigan. I mean, you see really robust short-term rental markets in Austin, in Scottsdale, in, you know, all of these big high traffic areas, but you don't see that in Michigan. And so for us to comp anything, it's like a big gamble. We're like, we're like, okay, well, this person's kind of making money, but they're doing a crap job at it. So, we'll come in and see if we can really do a great job at it. And so I love that mindset. I think, it is riskier, but I think in the end, it's way more rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And the quick version of what I like so much about the McDonald's story is Dairy Queen and all these other companies, they would sell their franchise rights to somebody for, call it 50 grand. And they'd make 50 grand, right? McDonald's is like, we'll sell it to you for 800 bucks, 850, and we'll take 2% of your sales. And so instead of making the money up front, and instead of making money every time they sold them ice cream or any kind of product, they made money with their operators. And they were super entrepreneurial. They got really deep into the systems of the potatoes and the farming, and they set themselves apart in a lot of ways. And people don't realize it because you go in there and you see the same thing every time, and they all seem the same, but they're very entrepreneurial behind the scenes. And so that's what we want to do is be super entrepreneurial, but have a really good system and structure in place, and grow with people and not just make the quick money up front.
Yeah. Yeah. Even from a design perspective, I'm going to go down a McDonald's tangent for 2 seconds here, but even from a design perspective, it's like when I was working in Fort Worth, I was working in an architecture firm, and we did all commercial stuff, but most of it was like the most basic commercial stuff you could do. So it was Starbucks, it was McDonald's, Wendy's. I mean, just any type of like small fast food space in Texas, we were doing the architectural drawings for it. And it was like very interesting to see McDonald's as well on the design front be the first to push into something more like Panera Bread, where they were like, wait a minute, people don't want this to be a fast experience inside. Like, we want it to be more loungy. We want it to seem like a coffee shop, and we went through just literally hundreds of McDonald's, changing that entire interior to something that like suited the current economy, what people wanted, what the market was screaming for. And so you watched McDonald's get even more popular than it already was. And so like literally on all fronts, they're just, other than not being healthy, they're crushing it.
Yeah. No, that's good. And, they started off as a small local American business, and then they became this hated corporation. And so you constantly did, and that's not who they were, but constant challenges, constant setbacks. Just go with the punches. All right, everyone's viewing us like this. Okay, let's adapt. Let's keep pushing forward.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. So I have a quick question. Well, another question for you. So what place does short-term rentals specifically hold in your real estate journey?
We have probably 6 or 7 that we own, single families. And then we actually have a 6-plex that we're about to turn into an Airbnb. So it's a decent part. It's the way to find cash flow in Austin, or break even at a minimum. And we have a local girl that she actually operates it for us, and she's the manager. And so we really like it. We use it as a strategy. Anytime we're looking at properties, we consider, could we Airbnb this property? Not a huge component, but definitely a tool that we utilize, and we really like it.
Yeah, 100%. It's like super difficult to reel in exactly what you want to do with a specific property. I'm like, the further we get into this, the more we realize that it's like we were so honed in on short-term rentals, and we still are, right? Like, that is exclusively how we're building our portfolio. But every new property that we come across, we have the same conversation with every investor that we work with. It's like, is short-term rentals the thing that's going to be best for this specific deal? And it's so deal by deal.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even when we were really closely working with Superhost Labs and we were analyzing thousands of properties every single day, it's like, out of those thousands of properties that we were analyzing, only like 6% of them were viable for short-term rentals on like a cash perspective. And so it's like, I think everybody right now thinks that like short-term rentals is all the craze, and you can buy any property and you can furnish it, and, you can make a bunch of money. And that's just not the case at all, especially in places like Austin, where it's like insanely saturated. Everyone's doing it. And, you've got people doing it really well and people doing it really terribly. And so it just kind of like muddles that market, especially where you're located.
Yeah, that's a good point. 100%. Just like buying those 10 properties, that's what I think people don't understand is You don't go buy 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 Airbnbs and just make all this money. Like, you got to grind. You got to keep pushing forward. You got to get 1,000 of them. Whatever it may be. But yeah, it's a constant challenge is to show people what real estate really looks like. And the beautiful thing is you get to build and grow every day, and you get to meet a lot of people. But it's not sit back and collect your rent.
No, it's not.
Definitely not.
Sometimes we wish it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? And I think it can get to that point if you get a lot of good people and systems and operations and great properties. But that's the whole thing we're all trying to build. It's going to take 20 years, 30 years to do it right.
Yep, 100%. So, next question for you is, what is the best piece of advice that you could give someone who is just starting their real estate journey?
As simple as it is, I would say really understand the value of relationships, and to go further, that literally every person in a relationship matters. People are going to mess up. You're going to mess up. Forgive people. Figure out how to find out who's serious and who's going to be around. Show people that you're not going to be a fly-by-night and that you're going to be here 20, 30 years from now. And you will really stick out. And constantly be relentless in your follow-up, because things change overnight. We make a lot of offers. They get mad at us. They say, you don't know what you're doing. And we have the initial thought to say, we own more property than you, but that's not honestly, that's like the bad thought, bad mindset I'm coming from. It's more of like, hey, sorry, I offended you. Let's stay in touch. And then a week later, they come back to you. And then a week after that, you get the price even lower. So just relentless follow-up, caring about people, and valuing relationships. Literally, everything you say and do matters. And if you say you're going to connect somebody, do it. You'll get a reputation of someone who's a talker or someone who's serious and going to be around really quickly. And it makes a huge difference on how you operate. And other people see that, they recognize that, try to be that person for other people, and try to figure out over time, if you find out who's serious and who's going to be around, it's only a matter of time before you do a deal together. And so just keep that in mind and plant a lot of seeds. I mean, we scatter seeds every day, thousands of them. And it's beautiful to see what happens a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from planting that seed.
Yes, 100%. It's always encouraging. I mean, we're relatively new on our real estate journey, right? Especially on the investing side, because we were doing so much design before. And so, there's so much that we want to do. And it's like, I think on the relationship side of things or on the partnership side of things, it really is a matter of time. And so sometimes we'll have conversations with people about partnerships and they're like, look, it's a money thing and it's a timing thing. And that doesn't mean that it's a no. It means that it's a not right now.
Yeah.
And so that's been a big lesson that we've been learning over the last few months, especially just to like you said, plant those seeds and just have patience and develop those relationships, and they will happen down the road. It just takes some time.
Totally.
Yeah. So spinning off of your best advice, because Sarah and I give advice all the time, and most of our advice comes from major mistakes that we've made and learned from. So what do you think the biggest mistake that you've made is since the beginning of your journey?
I would say that one of the big things, and then it comes back to the relationship side, is there's a lot of people, and it's not like a huge mistake. It could have been better for sure. I probably could have 30 or 40 investors that are all buying right now if I would have just slowed down a little bit and built those relationships a little more. It was always kind of at the beginning, on to the next, and then it got into building and supporting the agents. So I don't have this huge database of people that I could call that at any second would buy a property. I could probably post it on Facebook, and a lot of people would be very interested. But it would have been great if I had 30 investors that I helped them buy 3 to 5 properties a year, and then I have all this firepower for when I run into something. But I was just moving so fast. I had guys from California that bought 4 or 5 duplexes with me in 1 year, and then I never talked to them again. And so this relentless and following up is from personal experience of what could have been, in a sense. So taking it slower, going deeper into those relationships, and building friendships, more importantly with those people as well. So that way it's really easy to be there with them. And so, yeah, that would have been the big one, is just slow down a little bit, and build the database out a little bit more.
Really good advice. I feel like we need that advice in the exact season that we're in right now, too.
Cool.
So, thank you.
Those people are growing, you're growing, and you grow together. But
Yeah, 100%.
just because they have $100,000 to invest in a single family, like, don't go use the $100,000 with them and then not talk to them, because they're going to do more, and you're going to do more together if you play it right.
Right, 100%. And I think, a really difficult portion about partnerships is it is just like dating. It's so close to dating where it's like, when you're dating in high school and, pre-marriage, you're like, just figuring out what you like, what you don't like. And a lot of those relationships don't work out, right? And you get jaded from those relationships. And it's the exact same in business where, like, you'll have one or two that don't work out and it, ends poorly, and all of a sudden your walls go up and you're like, oh my gosh, like I need to keep my cards closer. Like, I can't trust people. There's all this anxiety around it. And that's just not the case. It's not fair to your future partners that could be amazing partnerships like mine and Emily's, right? Where it's like, those people could launch you into something new, and you've just got to like let go of those bad partnerships and continue fostering ones that feel right, because you cannot grow without them. Yeah. So it's just something that you have to get past.
Yeah, and forgive people, right? Like, none of us are perfect. Like, we all make our own mistakes, and we could do the same thing that those other people do, and we do. So just having a heart of forgiveness to really, like, hey, you did something wrong. That's okay. Like, we can move forward. Or I did something wrong. I hope that you can forgive me. Like, let's move forward.
Yeah, 100%. I love that mentality. Well, we have one last question for you as we wrap up here. And it's about you and Alex, because you guys work so closely together. Do you have advice on working alongside your best friend or something that you've known for a really long time?
Yeah. I mean, as far as finding that right person, I don't know the answer, because it kind of found me. It just happened, probably similar to you guys in a sense. What I would say is back to that foxhole concept of just look at them as somebody that's in your foxhole, somebody who you would want to have in the foxhole when you're at war, and be that person, right? Like, Alex and I literally treat each other's money like my money is his money, and vice versa. And I give him my bank account login, whatever he needs, right? And having that is very, very special. So maybe you have to start with showing that you are that person to someone, to get them to show you back, or show some kind of commitment. But just do everything you can to find that foxhole person, or multiple people. The more people you have in your foxhole, the better. And if someone's not in your foxhole, it doesn't mean they're not a bad person. They're just not in your foxhole. And so it's really cool to have that, and to have someone who completely has your back in business and in life. And that'd be my biggest person, is be a foxhole person for other people.
Super good advice. I love that you keep bringing it back to yourself. It's like very easy to point fingers and be like, they're not a good partner, or like they're not giving me what I need them to give. And so every single time you've always brought it back to yourself, and you're like, look, I need to be that person first. And so you're leading with yourself. And so that's super powerful, which also is probably a huge reason why you guys are growing at the rate that you guys are growing at. So
yeah, thanks
good for you.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. And I do, right? Like, it does start with yourself. And like I said, I mean, I'm not perfect. I've made my mistakes. So I'm glad that people forgive me. And just try to do our best every day, and realize that, like, there's not necessarily something that we're trying to cross this finish line and sell the business or anything. It's like, it's a blessing to be able to hear and talk to you guys and build a relationship with y'all. And like, what a cool life that we can live. We can sit here and talk real estate. I mean, that's not what you get, any other type of work that exists in a lot of ways. So we're all just very lucky to be in the real estate business, and I try to realize that every day. Like, what a really cool freedom that we have.
Amazing. Well, I love that. Well, for our listeners, whoever was listening to this and wants to join your brokerage immediately, because if we were real estate agents, we would be signing up. Where can people find you?
Very easy. We're all over, TeifkeRealEstate.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. We got multiple channels on YouTube. People can reach out to me personally. I'm always available. I love talking to new people. Happy to give out my phone number, 512-914-4806. 512-914-4806. Like, we're open book. We look for the people that have a fire in their eyes and the desire to succeed, and we just want to get in the arena and figure out how we can all help each other and all grow together.
Awesome. Yeah, I will link all of his stuff below as well. So it's super easy for you guys to find him. You're the first person who's given their phone number out to an audience like that. So you might be getting some calls. But yeah, I will have everything in the bio of the YouTube video. And if you guys are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, anything like that, you can find it in the bio.
Yes. And as always, if you're not following us everywhere, we are at the Carwells literally everywhere. Keep it simple for you. Well, thank you, Matt, so much for joining us today. And listeners, I hope you learned something new. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.